What I'm looking forward to see in the next year, in 2024, is more integration with emotional design.
But I think the unicorn or the superstar of SaaS will be the designer that knows how to use AI.
I think personalized and interactive data visualization is going to be a huge thing now in SaaS products. And Loom send you emails where they tell you how much time you save or how much time you've been on conferences or recording videos. So this is also data visualization.
For you as a SaaS founder, you want to be up to date on the latest trends and predictions to make sure that your product grows with the times. The global SaaS market is projected to grow from $273 billion in 2023 to $908 billion by 2030, which means the competition is set to get tougher. I'm Sarah, the marketing manager at UserActive, where we've helped dozens of SaaS companies improve their user experience and interface design over the past few years. Today, I'm talking to 3 of our product designers who have worked on loads of software with so many teams across the globe to ask them, where are SaaS products going in 2024? The conversations I had with all of them are really fascinating for anyone who's in SaaS. So let's dive into their predictions.
Amadeu, what did you predict would be important for SaaS in 2024? What's your prediction?
Well, my prediction revolved around AI. I predict that AI is going to be very much present in SaaS in 2024, just because it is already, and things are going so quick. I think it's just going to explode even more than it has. But my prediction around that would be that AI is not going to be able to do any design work on its own anytime soon, for sure not next year, and that you'll need the magic touch of human designers to work with it. But I think the kind of like the unicorn or the superstar of SaaS will be the designer that knows how to use AI as a tool that helps, and not trying to compete with one another.
AI has become such a huge thing. I'm curious, I don't know much about this from like a design perspective, but what do people use AI for now for design? Like what can SaaS founders do with AI for design?
If you look at what it was like before AI showed up, I think there's a lot of, or I know for a fact there's a lot of SaaS founders who are either the developer themselves, or usually they have a developer who's a full stack developer. So they know front end, they know back end, but then they happen to know a bit of design. And they think that with that person, they have enough. And oftentimes that person would build the whole platform. So they would take care of not only the code, but the UX as well and the UI, just because they know enough and they can make a product that works, and we'll deal with it later. We'll fix it later. And then AI has like put that scenario on steroids, basically, because now it's like, okay, now I can get my full stack developer who knows a bit of design, and they can rely on AI, which is basically spitting out like full landing pages in a microsecond or a full chapter and copy. In what world would we need to pay a designer? Really it comes down to that. If you could have a free designer, of course everyone would want to, but why would we allocate funds towards a full-time designer if we have our developers like we've always had, and now we have this crazy tool which seems to be that you can do anything?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I was going to say, my next question was going to be, why did you choose this topic? But I feel like talking about AI, like why it's like, why wouldn't you choose this topic, right? It's just so like everyone's talking about it. What would you say what do you do when you start working with clients? I know you go into like in the workshops, you go into the product and like you're talking about use cases and things. Like what is it that you can do as a human being that AI is like incapable of doing?
So again, I use AI a lot. Like I use GPT pretty much every day when I'm working in design. So it is very helpful, but it can never understand the nuances of, like a specific pain point that a user might have for that specific product, or maybe not the psychology of one user, but more like sociology, like a whole group of users and how they act in mass. The day AI reaches empathy, then we won't be doing this video because we won't be doing anything, just understanding the other person, putting yourself in their shoes, and being able to think like them when you're working on the product. Just imagine you're them. And by them, I mean, it could be a senior citizen who barely knows how to use computers, or it can be a 12-year-old who knows more about computers than I do, or it could be someone who's visually impaired or someone who's colorblind. All those little case scenarios, there's no way AI could take care of it yet. I don't know any code and I can make an app in a couple of days. So that's amazing. But then that app is going to look exactly the same as the other one that the AI made. So do we want to end up in a world like that? Probably not, And yeah, you can give me a landing page because the menu is always going to be in the same spot and the header is always going to be in the same spot. But I don't know, it seems mediocre,
Okay, Debbie, what do you predict will be important in SaaS in 2024?
For my experience working in SaaS during this year, I think personalized and interactive data visualization is going to be a huge thing now in SaaS products.
Can you explain a little bit like what that means in a product? Like when we talk about data visualization, what am I thinking of?
When we are talking about data visualization, it's how we represent data. So we know data, it's a huge of information, things that we receive, but we don't know how to show that to the users or how to interpret that if it's not well presented. So basically, data visualization is that. Nowadays, we have a lot of tools that are going to help us creating those things, such as graphics, infographics, charts, pie charts, bar charts, that are easy to digest and is not complex and hard information to read. So that's basically what this is going to be about.
So we're basically talking about like how software used to be like maybe loads of numbers or loads of lines of different data. And now we're thinking of different ways to show them so that they're more digestible for the user.
Whenever you are thinking about data, you think about numbers and a list of huge numbers or like amount of percentages and things. And now all of our brains works different and we read information in a different way. So that's the thing, is creating something so every type of user can read this information and get the value from it. And whenever the user interact with this information, it's going to make the user also interact more with the product. So they are creating engagement, basically.
Okay, so obviously then that's beneficial for the business side of things as well, because they want their users to be engaged.
Exactly. For founders, it's an important thing, and also for users, because it means more users are gonna be interacting with the platform, are gonna be engaged, and are gonna be actually extracting the information that the actual SaaS product is giving them value.
When you had to make a prediction, this was the thing that stood out to you. I am wondering, why was this topic for you like one of the most important things to highlight? Was it in general because of what you've seen in SaaS, or maybe what you've worked on with your clients in particular?
Because of my experience with SaaS products, the past year I've been working with a lot of different industries, exactly with CRMs, energy industry products, that they have a lot of data, and our founders, clients were like, how do we show this? Because this is actually important and our users need to understand this. But this is like a huge amount of numbers that not everyone can understand. So with this type of graphics or like with this data visualization, we are helping them to show this data that is valuable for everyone in different specific industries.
Do you think this is something that maybe like bigger companies are doing already and smaller companies aren't? Or do you see a divide that way?
For sure, bigger companies have bigger budget and they know the importance of data visualization. So a clear example of this is Spotify. Spotify have been doing the yearly wrapped thing about the music taste. So basically, this is a interactive data visualization where you can see how much time you spend listening to some artist on some type of music. Another example of that is Loom. You all know Loom, and Loom send you emails where they tell you how much time you save or how much time you've been on conferences or recording videos. So this is also data visualization, and they do it every week. So it's like a summary. So you get the information, it's well presented, digestible, they know the important numbers and the important things that the users are extracting from that specific product. So yeah, for sure, bigger companies are already doing this.
Now we're talking a lot about AI, right? With in SaaS and software and in general in the world, we're talking about AI. Does AI play a role in this with data visualization?
AI, it's amazing tool that is going to help everyone to process data, process numbers, and process information, and target our users to show specifically what they need to see or what they are interested in. So yeah, if you know how to use these tools, of course, everything can be mixed and create the perfect targeting data visualization for specific users.
Gabriel, what
Yes.
do you predict will be important in SaaS in 2024? Tell me your prediction.
What I'm looking forward to see in the next year, in 2024, is more integration with emotional design, which essentially is going to live within your software alongside with your features. It's just a way of the software being a little bit more human towards users, right? To create deeper connections and stronger relationships with your users. So whenever I'm interacting with the platform itself, I will have a sense of understanding. The platform understand anything that is going on, and I will also feel heard. And all of this can happen within the same context that you're actually telling your users. If we're talking about a specific flow, then the way that you communicate those features to me, or the next steps of my actions, or the way that I receive feedback, those are little connections that will link with my brain, and is going to just create a pleasing experience for me. And I will ultimately enjoy using the application even more.
You mentioned some more like high level examples of emotional design. Can you talk maybe more specifically about like a tangible example? Like what could a SaaS company do in their product to incorporate emotional design?
A very common example, it's about when something goes wrong, right? Let's imagine the case whether the software went down for any reason, or when I'm about to perform an action, something unexpected happened, right? And what will happen normally is that I will just see a modal or a pop-up telling me that, hey, something went wrong. A way that we can incorporate emotional design is with the use of storytelling, micro interactions, and even illustrations or iconography. So if we group all of these information together, and the next time we use an error message to tell our users that something went wrong, we can connect the dots and try to empathize and be a little bit more human without making your users feel like it's their fault. Ultimately, we want the software to communicate that this is something that happens normally, right? And we are so sorry something went wrong, but at the same time, we can make a joke out of it. We can make it a little bit more fun and appealing, without making the user feel like something went wrong, that it's their fault. And overall, the interface should just motivate for, okay, this happens. Now, how can you help me figure out a path forward?
To me, it sounds like this topic then is about making your software like a bit more human, right? Like human to human connection. Am I understanding this correctly?
Nowadays, we are interacting with a lot of software. During my own daily basis, I'm using multiple platforms all the time, every day, even when I have time off. And at the same time, I get the feeling like it's just computer stuff. It's just a bunch of code. They do not provide me with any joy or value in regards of how I feel, or the way that what's behind that line of code or that interface is actually caring about me and my feedback and my emotion. If I get a pleasing experience from the software that you're offering, something that motivates me every morning to open the software, get my job done, or learn something from it, you're raising the customer loyalty, right? I'm going to become an advocate for your brand and your services, because the simple reason of I just enjoy using the software. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just going to make me recommend this application to my fellow coworkers, my colleagues, and anybody in the industry that I think what's the value from it.
Right. So it's going to be a case of the fact that the users are going to stay for longer because it makes their life easier. And also, they're going to be raving about their software to everybody else so that it gets them more customers through word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not commonly seen. There are very few applications that are incorporating this kind of emotional design within their software. So this is going to just make your software stand out, within the competitors that you already have.
Yeah, it's funny because I think we're seeing this kind of shift towards being more of a human through our technology, because nowadays people are using technology all the time, right? So it's happening the same thing with like social medias and other ways that we use technology. We're trying to like humanize those interactions because people are in contact with so much technology all day, and the same goes for software, right?
Yeah, that's really true. And with the boom of AI, let's use ChatGPT, for example, or Dolly for that matter. Those are very robotic interfaces. And it's just another layer of how we are communicating and just consuming software. So if we're trying to change that a little bit in the way that the tone of voice that we use to talk to our users, in a way that they find it more appealing or a little bit more human, like a human person who's using an interface to communicate with me.
Is there any company that you've seen from all the softwares that you're using that you think, yeah, they are actually doing this really well? Is there any examples that stand out to you?
Yeah, One of them, it's actually task management software. It's called Asana. I'm sure most of you will know what Asana is and what it does. And I really like that software because while I'm managing my projects and using to-do lists to manage my day, every time that I complete one of those list items, let's say I tick one of those check marks, it's very fun to actually interact with it because the platform actually celebrates the small wins that I have through my day. Raise a bunch of confetti or just give me an inspirational message that I'm doing great throughout my day. Just makes me smile.
As you know, AI has been a huge topic this year in the SaaS industry, and you are probably wanting to or planning to add AI-powered features to your software. Here's a video with 7 tools that you can use to do just that. Watch this one next.